Greetings, Patrick here. Welcome to Dollar Theater, the Voters Edition. It is Friday, and it's time to see and talk about the movie that you guys voted for. And this, I really thought this would be quite a runaway. It turned out to be a lot more closer than I imagined it to be. I didn't think it was going to be so close, but it really was. The one movie I thought was going to win did win, but the voting was, like I said, voting was very close. Of course, the movie we'll be talking about is 1990s Total Recall. Total Recall came out in 1990. It starred Arnold Schwarzenegger, who by then had a string of solid hits. It also starred Ronny Cox as our main bad guy. He had done back-to-back really good, strong bad guy. He had done, this is the second movie he had done for Paul Verhoeven, director Paul Verhoeven. He did RoboCop 2, and now he came back and did another bad guy role in Total Recall. We also had Michael Ironside as Ronny Cox's main henchman, the lovely Sharon Stone as Lori, and Rachel Ticotin as Melina. Wow, so much fun. So, like I said, the movie is the story is based off a short story in 1966 by Philip K. Dick. We can get it for you. We can remember it for you wholesale. Which was a 23-page short story that was printed in 1966. So Ron Chouette had he had caught the story, and he went and bought the rights for it for $1,000. It was really interesting too, hearing him say that, and it gives you an idea that a lot of producers, they look everywhere for story ideas. Well, at least they were back there in 1990. They were looking for anywhere for story ideas. I still think they still do that. I still think that there's a lot of movies that have been recently released that are based off a novel. And the novel's not very old at all. 2-3 years down the line, and they've already made a movie out of it. So the screenplay was done by Gary Goldman, Dan O'Banion, and Ron Chouette, who actually, like I said, they had gotten he had gotten the rights for the short story, and he had actually worked with Dan O'Banion in the 70s. He had gotten the rights in the 70s, and he realized basically that they could not do the story justice at that time in history. The movie was way too big for what was available to Hollywood as far as technology goes. So what they did is they decided, we're just going to hang on to it, and we'll just keep working on some other things, which would end up becoming Alien. But of course, as the years went on, they went through, it went through 40 different scripts, 40 times, and it turned out to be like the first script and the 40th were pretty much right on the spot, right? So they took the first one, didn't like it, went through 38 other ones, didn't like them, came back to the 40th, and realized that, hey, this is really good. This reminds me of the first draft that we had, and so it was. And so they decided to, they decided to make the movie. And so it's really fascinating. It's almost more fascinating than the movie itself, of how it got made, which is why I'm telling you in reverse. Instead of telling you the story, I'm telling you how the movie got made, because it's fascinating. It went through Dino De Laurentiis' company. Patrick Swayze was actually cast to play Doug Quaid first. Underneath Dino De Laurentiis, but he went bankrupt. His company went bankrupt, and so Arnold Schwarzenegger, when he heard that, he went to some of his friends and they said, "Hey, could you buy this for me? This is a movie I like to make. Can you get this?" So they ended up buying the rights to Total Recall from Dino De Laurentiis, and so and Arnold Schwarzenegger had met Paul Verhoeven already. And so he came back there and said, "Hey, hey, I want I want to have you come on board and direct this." And he was so enthusiastic that Paul Verhoeven was actually getting ready to make Black Rain, which was a fine thriller film that was going to star Michael Douglas and Andy Garcia. But he ended up passing on that and came over and ended up doing Total Recall. So Total Recall, as we know, it's set in the far future. It's and he's we find out that we meet Doug Quaid. He lives with his beautiful wife Lori, and he works at a construction job. And but for some reason though, he just doesn't seem very happy. Hang now. He doesn't seem very happy, and so he decides that he's going to go ahead and go to this company called Recall, and because he saw it on TV, so he says, "This sounds interesting because I can have like a 2-week vacation implanted in my head," and it seemed like that I had went there and have memories of it. He mentions it to one of his good friends on the job that he's going to go to Recall, and his friend's like, "Nah, you don't want to do that. People got hurt there. One guy got lobotomized. Don't go over there. It's a waste of your time and your money." And but of course he does. He goes by himself. He doesn't take Lori with him, and he doesn't talk to her about it because he tells her like let's move to Mars, and she's not enthusiastic at all. She's pretty happy with him right where they're at. They seem to be having a good life together or whatnot. But Doug goes over to Recall, and lo and behold, when they try to put memories into him, they can't because his memories have already been wiped out. And they're going like, well, who is this guy? When they try to put it back in, it causes a reaction, and so it like triggers. It triggers like a previous memory, and lo and behold, now he's after he comes out, he's heading home. He gets jumped by his friends, his so-called friends, and they try to kill him. And they say, "We told you not to go to Recall, but you did anyway." So they try to kill him, and then he displays skills that he doesn't know he has. He's a good shot, and he's an expert hand-to-hand in combat, and he dispatches all 5 guys. And as he's doing it, he's looking at his hands and the gun because he doesn't know that he had these skills. It's just it's coming natural to him, and he's like, I have no idea. I would not be surprised if he had asked him that he would have told you that he had no idea how to shoot a gun, or maybe he has big size, but he doesn't know how to fight. But lo and behold, he has some formidable skills. He gets home and he tells Lori what happens. He tells he went to Recall, and then his friends try to kill him, and he's like, and so he's like totally shocked. It's like I don't know what to do. Well, he goes inside there and he cleans up his hands and himself. And he comes out, and lo and behold, someone take him out right there in the damn apartment. And he's scared shitless because it's him and his wife. Who could have come in here and did this? So he fears for his wife. He takes on the shooter, hits the light, and it turns out to be none other than his wife who's been shooting at him. And he's like, what the hell? And that's how we find out that he had been put there. He had his mind wiped, and he had been put there as and Lori was basically his handler, to make sure that he stayed where he, because he has memories that Cohagen, who is the main villain, he wants to know what Quaid knows, and and the mystery lies in Mars, and so he escapes, and he escapes from Lori, and then we meet Richter, played by Michael Ironside, who we see is actually Lori's real lover, and so he makes sure she's okay. He's pissed because Doug knocked her out, and So he's really pissed off about that. So they go hunting for him. And then finally, Quaid gets he gets into the hotel and makes someone calls him and says, "Hey, you told me that if you got in trouble to bring you this case. Well, here it is." So he goes, gets the case, and he finds out that he supposedly is a guy named Hauser, and they wiped out Hauser's memories, and they gave him Doug. So Doug is really Hauser. Hauser's really Doug. And so he's like, but I have no idea who you are. And it's a totally different personality. Hauser's personality is upbeat, confident, like he knows what he's doing. He's used to be able to handle himself. And of course, Doug is like every man. He's like, he has no idea what's going on. And no idea why people are chasing him. No idea why they're trying to kill him. And so, when he finds out that the answers is in Mars, he has to go to Mars for the answers. That's what he decides to do. He decides he has to go up to Mars and figure out why this is happening to him. So he does. And so up there in Mars, he's being chased by a Richter still, and Cohagen wants to talk to him, and so he goes through a bunch of adventures, and then he meets this young lady named Melina, who knows him as Hauser. And he's like, I have no idea who his Hauser is. I have no idea really who you are. And then we find out why this plan's been going on, why they did it. Because there's more than one person that wants what's in Doug's head. Cohagen wants it, and a rebel leader named Quattro wants it. And so that he's being but now he has two sides that are after him. One wants to help him, one wants to eliminate him. Melina and him meet up, and then the bad guys try one more desperate trick, and that involves bringing Laurie back into it. They try to convince Doug that none of what he's seeing or feeling is actually real. It's all just in his head. It's all in his head. He's still total recall. This is just Laurie and the owner of Recall. They've been put inside his dream as a way to try to save his life. And unless he does this, he could wind up being psychotic. Except for one small thing, holographs don't sweat. And Doug notices that, and he knows that he's being fooled, and so he kills the director of Recall, and then Laurie goes to work on him and beats his ass. Not gonna lie, can't lie, she beat his ass straight up. Of course, then Melina comes over and rescue him, and they Melina and Laurie have a good fight. And I liked the fight. I really did. I thought it was a pretty good girl fight. And it made sense, too. I know a lot of people were saying that Melina got taken out a little bit too easy. But if you really think about it, what Laurie just did to Doug, it really fit. Sharon Stone, she's total badass in that during the fight. Both the ladies were. Of course, the famous divorce line, you won't kill me, you love me, and I'm your wife, and Doug pops her in the dome and says, well, consider that a divorce. Richter's still after him, and Cohagen's after him, and a bunch of people are after him. They're spies, there's betrayers, or it's all sorts of shenanigans going on, and it all leads up to an alien machine. But you know what? You guys could watch this movie. It's been out for 35 years. You guys can get it. But it got remade in 2012 with Colin Farrell. I have not seen that. I have not seen that one yet. But I could not believe how fast this movie moved. Paul Verhoeven is the absolutely master of directing action. And thrillers. He does really good thrillers as well. Of course, the infamous Basic Instinct, which is interesting, is that Verhoeven had commented that he hired Sharon Stone to do Basic Instinct because she was very much like the character she played, Lori. Lori was she was super sweet, super sexy, one heartbeat, and then a raging bitch on the other heartbeat. And he says that's why he hired her, because she was able to do that. And he says, well, one of the reasons why she's able to do that because that's how she is in real life. That's how she is. And you know what? I believe that. I think I've heard that before. I must say that I have become a bigger Sharon Stone fan with some of her older roles, more than when she was younger. I have liked her more as she got older. She became a better actress. I was really hoping that she would land a part on Law and Order SVU, but she only got to play the role for 3 episodes. But she was so good in that; it was like really good. Rachel Ticotin, of course, played Melina. She was beautiful as well, and her and Arnold had a great chemistry together. The sets were. This was one of the last major studio pictures that did practical sets before they went into special effects, before they went to CGI. This is one of the last Hollywood movies. They worked 10 months, 7 days a week, to build 10 sets, 10 practical sets. That's a lot. That is a hell of a lot. And of course, they initially were going to shoot the film in Australia, but they didn't do that. They decided to go down to Mexico. And this would be the second movie that Arnold did after Predator that he did in 1987. And it's really interesting in the fact that Ron Stewart, who one of the producers, one of the screenwriters, he and Arnold Schwarzenegger were the only 2 people that did not eat anything in Mexico. They brought, Arnold had his own chef brought in, and Ronald would, he wouldn't brush his teeth without boiling the water or using bottled water. He ended up asking for a B12 shot every week to help, fight off the illness. He was actually mocked for that. The crew was teasing him for that. They thought that he was being such a hypochondriac until they started dropping like flies. Everybody on the crew, cast and crew, all got sick except for Ron and Arnold. Arnold did get sick one time when his chef got sick, and then Arnold got sick. But after that, it was really strange hearing that. But this is just imagine 10 sets. If you watch Total Recall, and you could definitely tell the love that went into this movie. This movie it looked fabulous. It looks fabulous. The parts on were Mars. It looked like a small town. Built within rocks. But I did have one major plot hole, and this is the big plot hole. Besides them getting thrown out into the atmosphere and yet somehow lasting long enough to survive that. But the one thing that really caught me by surprise, and I was sitting there going like, I got to call this out, and that is the amount of glass that was used that imploded inside. So every time someone shot into the glass, it would go inside. It caused this massive explosion. At the end, when the oxygen came out, it blew all the glass inward. Nobody got a paper cut. Nobody. It's like why bother shooting at anybody? All you have to shoot the window. The glass would just implode. Whoever you were shooting at would be cut to ribbons. And yet, for somehow, some way, that never happened at all. I was like, I know why aren't they getting chopped up? So it was a huge gaping plot hole that they didn't address. I would like to hear the explanation for that. It wasn't any special glass. I mean, it wouldn't even matter if it was special glass. With the velocity of it being blown in, it still would have chopped up everybody anyway. It would have cut. So many people would have been killed, especially the ones by the windows. Right? It's just, yeah. For a movie that's pretty violent, very violent. You know, showing Sharon Stone being shot in the head. Michael Ironside, you know, the famous "See you at the party, Richter." You know, after he has his arms taken off. Paul Verhoeven, right? I mean, that's not new to him. He likes to direct action, and he likes his gore. He does. He said he had to turn it down the gore because they're afraid that they would get an X. So you know that includes, you know, Michael Ironside losing his arms and Ronny Cox being blown out into the Mars, and you see how he dies. You know, his face basically bulges from inside out. I don't know how Doug and Melina survived out there either. I mean, they were going through the same thing, and yet the air hits, and all of a sudden their face goes from bulging out to normal, back to normal. I was like, okay, that's pretty good. How did that happen? So maybe picking on it a little bit, but I still enjoyed it very much. I enjoyed it when I watched it the first time. I think it's fantastic. Total Recall, so much fun and so fast. Great cast, great effects, great directing. Can't go wrong with this. This is definitely one of Arnold's better films. And he had been coming up, he had already done some really good movies already. He had done Raw Deal, he had done Predator, he had done, he had done, Terminator. He did the first Terminator. I mean, he had a ton of hits underneath his belt. And so this one here only projected him even higher. The movie cost about, I don't know who he talked to, either 50 million to 80 million, and it made over 260 million. Not bad, right? So yeah, and then end up getting remade. Ended up being remade 22 years later with Colin Farrell in 2012. I have not seen that one. That's the fact that honestly, I think it's the only person I know in that movie at the Total Recall is that it was Colin Farrell, but I don't know who played any other role. I don't know if they kept the same characters, same names, or whatnot. I guess I could look that up. So I guess by watching that, we would actually see what Total Recall would actually look like if Patrick Swayze had been cast, because Patrick Swayze and Colin Farrell are basically physically the same type of actor. So it would have been interesting to, you watch the remake, you get an idea how it would have looked for Patrick Swayze. Oh, speaking of Patrick Swayze, this week marks the 38th anniversary of Dirty Dancing. I want to let our good friend Jim know from Jim's Movie Channel. He might have not been aware of that, but this week is the 38th anniversary of Dirty Dancing. But that's it for this review. Let us know what you think of Total Recall. What are your favorites? Let me know. Let me know how you feel about it. And I enjoyed it. And I got this this Steelbook. I'm not sure if it's considered a Steelbook, true Steelbook or not, but I got this little one here for 10 cents at the library, and it's a lot of fun. All right, we'll come up with another round of Action August. We still got another week or two to go. Action August, and so we'll put up a fresh 4 movies, and tell me what you want to see. Tell us what you want to see me and the Cheetah watch and review next week. All right, thanks for watching, and drop a comment, hit the like button, share us out. Thanks so much.